Ladies and gentlemen, I've got a fucking rock star. Excuse my French. I'm sure we'll swear in this podcast, anyways. This is round two. We did round one. How long ago was it? I'm not good with timelines. How long? Like
Man,
2 years, I think. 2 years.
Probably. I think it was before I even started my show. I think so. It's probably over 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was. I think 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Absolute rock star, Morgan Nelson. I've got him in between or during a week of his live Australian tour, which is really cool. So we'll dive into some of that, man. But I guess for people that don't understand who you are, I've done a podcast of Morgan. If you want to go into his full story, go back and watch the previous one. But just to catch people up and do a quick summary, give us a little elevator spiel on your story, and then we can sort of zig and zag in this podcast.
Elevator spiel. Okay. Long story short, yeah, I'm pretty sure in the last episode we probably would have gone in a lot more deeper. So I'll save it. But you know, I'm 29 years old now. I was probably 26 or something last time we talked. Hectic. But long story short is I finished school. I stayed to year 12 for the parties and the girls.
Yeah.
It was the only reason. I was never going to go into university. I was never going to do anything else like that, mainly because I didn't have the desire. But I was also told by teachers and stuff at school that, hey, you're not smart enough to really go ahead and study anything that you say you want to study. So why don't you go do something with your hands, trade time for money. Don't do anything in reading, writing, journalism, or speaking. It's not your strong suit. Now I've spoken all around the world in 5 different countries and tens of thousands of people live in person around the world. Got a podcast and all this sorts of shit as well. So it's interesting, but for a while I believed all their stories. I believed these beliefs and I took them on as they were my own. And, I went down a path of just, drugs, alcohol, suicide attempts, all that, the hectic stuff. And it just led me to a point at 21 being completely freaking confused, gone through all the rest of it, spending lots of my weekends getting arrested and just completely off track in life, where I reached out to a friend and asked him, dude, your life's pretty good. How do you do it? What can I do? And he introduced me to my first network marketing.
Is this Reese, by the way?
Yeah, it was Reese. Yeah. And I checked out network marketing, had no idea about it, but that was my first business venture.
Were you skeptical? Were you anti-pyramid scheme, etc.?
No, I didn't. Look, this is the honest conversation. Like, me and Reese caught up on the beach and gone for a walk, and I said, dude, tell me about this thing. He said, yeah, you sort of do this and this and this and this. And I said, so it's like one of those pyramid things.
Yeah.
He goes, no, it's not a pyramid thing. I said, bro,
relax.
I don't give a fuck what it is. I'm in.
Yeah. I want to make money.
It sounds cool, yeah. Because I had someone closer to me a little while ago, because I looked at another company called Vima when I was 18.
Oh.
Remember Vima? Yeah.
Did they go under?
Sorry?
Did they go under?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at them
Good
when
choice.
I was 18 because I was heavy on energy drinks, and they were an energy drink company. I just thought it was just incredible. I was like, here's this thing I can start for a few $100, buy some energy drinks, tell my friends I can make money. This is fucking genius. And I checked it out, and I had like, some people close to me, and they're like, don't do that. That's a pyramid scheme. And I'm thinking, what's a pyramid scheme? Maybe it's bad, so I didn't do it.
Yeah.
So I said no. But then when this came back around, I was already sort of familiar, and I was like, oh, check this out. And so long story short, I dived in. I sucked ass at it so bad. But I just knew that, the more times I fail, the better I'm going to get. Because it's just, you can't continually take action and fail on something and get worse at it. Like, really. So I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it and doing it and tweaking and tweaking. And then by the time I was 23, I was financially free. I quit my job and I moved to Mexico because that's what I always wanted.
Cool.
And then sort of just traveled all around the world for the last few years, lived in Bali, Mexico, the States, teaching people how to do the same thing. And then when COVID happened, we had an Australian tour booked in, New Zealand tour booked in. I was going to be flown to Canada, Mexico, and then back to Brisbane to speak all within about 8 weeks. And then one by one, event gets cancelled. Canada cancelled, Mexico cancelled, New Zealand cancelled, Perth cancelled, Tassie, every single city, bang, bang, bang. And I'm like, whoa. Then we're in this lockdown. I was like, the fuck is this? And it took me probably like 4 days in lockdown before I was like, I'm going to create something. And then I thought, I'm going to create a podcast. I'm going to share all the value I was going to share anyway, but I'm going to give it to everyone around the world, not just within inside this company. And then that birthed with this inner passion of mine, the Dream Out Loud movement, which is really passionate to help people really execute on their dreams, not just talk about it. And I I didn't know where it was going to go, to be honest. I just started it, and then 9 days or so later, I think we hit number 100 in the country for personal development. I ran an event off the back of it with a few people that I met, and then people started asking me, when's your next event? I'm like, it's a good fucking question. I don't know.
Let me get back to you.
Who said I'm running events now? And then I started to ask more questions, I'd be like, well, what do I really want to do? And I've always wanted to create events, like have my own personal development events. And I just sat down and asked myself one day, like, well, what am I waiting for? I was like, I don't know. Couldn't think of a good excuse, so I just started. So November last year, we pivoted everything into, building the events company now. And now I've got the goal to be the #1 personal development company in Australia. We're going for about a year now, and just really, transforming people's lives through in-person events. I like the idea of being able to give people like a coaching, like a one-on-one aspect of coaching for a year, but condense it into a weekend for a fraction of the cost. So
that's cool.
That's kind of what the events are like.
That's awesome, man. I know there's so much more to, obviously there's so much depth into all of those chapters. First thing that comes to mind, man, is just you even said it. Your teachers gave you shitty stories, like back when you were at school, because obviously that's where a lot of people, and obviously your parents and your upbringing. But how come you were someone who didn't? You said you listened, you believed at the start, but then you said that obviously is no longer the case. What happened for you to be able to not allow those stories to become your destiny? For those stories to not define you for the rest of your life? Because you literally, what do you say? Like, go do something with your hands. You're a shit reader, can't speak, you don't do anything in that space, and you're literally doing it on the highest level right now, which is awesome. So how did you go from, you said you believed at the start, to now not, and you're fucking crushing it?
Well, look, I think there was always this thing inside of me, which I know exists inside of everybody else. We all do have this big dream. Everyone's got a dream. Like, have you ever seen like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, and you say, what do you want to do when you grow up? And they go, I want to be Batman.
Yeah.
I want to be a race car driver. I want to go to space. And then at some point along the journey, between 3 and 17 probably, someone tells you, hey, be realistic, grow up.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Hey, even if you want to do that, what's going to be your plan B?
Yeah, backup plan.
Your plan B. But you should study something in university, or all this sorts of shit. So we start to, through the minds of, 0 to 7 is the imprint period, where we literally are just a little unconscious mind walking around, picking up everything. Yeah. That's how we program our whole life.
Yeah.
And then the next phase, 7 to 14, we're starting to model. All right, so we're listening. Well, if mom or dad or Uncle Jerry says that, hey, it's awesome if you want to be an astronaut, but you should think about what you want to do, like at university or whatever. And they start to think, well, maybe I should model Uncle Jerry, because he's kind of cool, and he's a bum, and he goes to the pub, and he's funny.
Yeah.
When I catch up with Uncle Jerry, he's really funny. I want to have a laugh like Uncle Jerry, right? And then we start to forget about our dreams. Then the next period is we're really looking for the socializing and stuff like that. So what's everybody doing after, through their late teens and early 20s? They're all talking about college, university, what they're going to do with the rest of their life. So they start to actually change their mold and say, okay, well, maybe it's time that I do close the door on that dream. Maybe it's time I do close the door on that little voice inside of me, that little kid that wants to create this. And I start to be realistic and do what everyone else is doing, because everyone's talking about getting a career, getting an education, going to university, doing all this sorts of stuff. And maybe I got to stop thinking about the astronaut thing.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what happens. But so when I was in school, they give us this book. It was in grade 10. They gave us the book of all the careers that you
school, you remember this. This is cool.
Yeah. And so I go to the back of the book, because what does every single 15-year-old kid want? Fucking money. Everybody wants money. Like, it blows my freaking mind that some people are like, money isn't everything. Bullshit. How are you going to, what is everything then? Health's probably the most important? Correct. If you've got no money, can you have the best health on the planet? Nah. If you got a shitload of money, can you have, look at someone like Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Like, that guy travels here with an extra freaking plane filled with professionals to look after his body.
That's cool.
You know what I mean? I don't know them for a fact. But what I do know for a fact, though, is because my friend did unpack his jet. My friend used to work for the company. So when you fly a private jet into the country, they organize this service. Yeah. He does travel with a bed.
Like his special bed.
Like a proper fucking bed. They take a mattress off. But he has a team of people, that do look after him. Traveling chiropractor, masseuse, everything you could think of to look after him when he's on stage and doing the thing. And you think of professional athletes, you bet your ass they've got the best team around them, because money's going to buy this. But I wanted to make a lot of money, so I looked in the book. I went right to the back of it. And at the back of it, it says, here's this wage.
All the salaries and stuff?
Yeah, it's got all the salaries. And literally, it was scale like that. Yeah. Lowest in the beginning, right at the end was the biggest. Yeah. So I go to the back. So if I'm going to pick something, I'm going to go to the back. I'm going to start there. I go, here's what I'm going to do. Electrical engineer. And they go, Morgan, you can't really do that one because in order for you to do that, you're going to have to study this, and this next year and take extra classes. And based off all your studies this year, you're not smart enough to really move into those ones yet.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't suggest you pick that because it's going to be really hard and you're most likely to fail it. I'm like, okay. I'm very optimistic. So fair enough. I was quite aware that my grades were quite shit. Fair enough. What's the next one? Mechanical engineering. And they're like, same thing, Morgan. You have to study all these sorts of things. I said, well, what the fuck can I do? They go, so, well, here's what I recommend. Based off your studies, don't do anything in reading, writing, journalism, speaking, or anything like that because it's not your strong suit. Do something, you're good in construction. You're good in the workshop. Why don't you do something where you can build something with your hands? Maybe a tradie or a mechanic or something like that. And then from that moment, because here I am looking up to somebody to give me guidance in my life going, I'm looking, who am I modeling from? Who am I taking ideas from? If you tell me I can't do that, but I can do this, then okay, I'm going to start to do that.
Yeah.
But it's what happened. I just didn't really care much. Like I always had this sense of, we finished school. I was 17. I just looked around and I saw everybody else so freaking like caught up and going, what are you going to study next year? University, what are your grades? And I'm just living my life.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's what I want to do next year. Live. I'm 17, man. And so are you. Like, stop getting so fucking caught up in it. I never put this whole thing on myself that I have to do this. And who knows? Maybe because I was rebelling against it. Or maybe because deep down I knew that I would never be able to make it there anyway. I don't know why, but I don't really care. But what I did was, I went and traveled. I got a job and made some money, traveled, had some fun, came back, and I started working as a carpenter because that's what I knew that I could do.
Yeah.
But how it all started to change was, eventually what happens is this. It's like there's this little boy's walking down the street and he hears this noise. He hears this noise coming from over here and he's like, what is this? And the noise, it's like, and he hears this just whining. And he's like, what the fuck is this? And he walks a little bit closer, and the noise gets louder, and it's like, and he's like, what is this noise? And it's coming from this house up here, and he walks up to the house, and there's this old man sitting on the porch, and he's rocking. He goes up to the old man, he says, what is this noise coming from your house? And the old man is like, let me show you. So they walk through into the house, and then you see over in the corner, this dog sitting on the ground, and the dog, and the little boy looks at the old man. He says, why is your dog crying? What's wrong with your dog? And he says, he's sitting on a nail. And the little boy is like, well, why doesn't he just get off the nail? And the old man says, because it doesn't hurt enough for him yet. You see, so many people, they finish school, they sit on a fucking nail. They don't like it, but it doesn't hurt enough for them to actually get off. They'll happily complain about it. They'll happily complain, the government does this to me. The government doesn't do this for me. I should be making more money. I should do this, blah, 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 blah. They'll complain, they'll blame other people, and they'll justify things. But they won't actually take a look at their life, take self-responsibility, and go, you know what? I don't like this. I'm going to get off my own nail. So what happened for me after school, I just got enough of shit happening in my life where I'm like, I'm fed up with this. I'm just so fed up. And then so I started to look for different people. And what happened...
What made you do that, though?
Look for different people?
Yeah, what made you said, fuck this, I've had enough? Whether it's, like you said, you're in the drug scene, drinking, some feedback from the world. Like,
yeah,
I did my NLP qualifications, and the teacher's like, life will give you pebbles. If you don't listen, you get a boulder. If you don't listen, you get a brick wall. So you got the feedback from life. What was the feedback, and then what made you then look for someone else?
Well, I was 19 years old. We're working 14 hours a day, 45-degree heat, 7 days a week, 3 weeks straight. I'm making $7 an hour as a carpenter.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm running the job site because I was good.
Yeah.
And I was cheap.
Yeah.
So I was running it. And then what was happening is we were drinking every single day, having at least like 10 jimmies every single day.
Fucking hell.
Every day.
That's normal in some areas.
Very normal in that space.
Fucking hell, man.
You know, like because the more you drink, the more you tolerate it.
Yeah.
My boss used to sink like nearly 20 a night. It's insane. But then we're having cocaine in the morning, cocaine at lunchtime, cocaine in the afternoon, prescription pills to come down at nighttime. And it's just whirlwind.
Fucking hell.
And that was what was controlling my life. And so 19 years old, my self-esteem was so low. My self-respect was so low, which I didn't know. My anxiety was so freaking high, which I didn't know what it was. Like I was just standing around trying to build, and the next minute I felt like the whole world was collapsing inside of my soul. I was like, what the fuck is this feeling? I just want to leave everything. And what happened was I was just like, I just got such this pain inside one day where I just thought it's going to be a lot more painful to actually stay here than it is to leave. And then I tried to commit suicide. And at that point, I actually attempted twice. And I just started to ask different questions. Once I sort of come back out of the
pit.
Yeah, the pit. So I asked questions. And the question was, it wasn't things like, why is this happening to me? Which a lot of people go to because it allows them to be a victim. I didn't know all this back then, but I guess I somehow knew it. Yeah. I don't know. But I asked the question. I said, a few years ago, I was so happy. I was traveling Europe. I was hanging out with my friends. Life was good. I was a tradie, and I love being a tradie. But I'm still a tradie. But like, what went wrong? I was so happy back then. Now I'm trying to kill myself. What the fuck happened? And the first thing that came to mind was, you're in the wrong environment. Because who you were surrounding yourself with before was giving you joy, success, love, and it's excitement for life. And so I decided to change my freaking environment. And that's when I moved back down to the Gold Coast, and I decided to be more conscious of going, how can I actually get around people that are just living life better? And it made me get back in contact with my boy Reese.
Good question.
And and reach back out with him. But and what really started to change, because this is exactly how it kind of works. Everyone has a desire or a dream for a lifestyle. Everyone's got a lifestyle dream. Every single person listening to this or watching this or whatever, it's like, this is what I want to be. Like, if you really close your eyes and gave you a magic wand, if you had all the time, all the money in the world, what would you want to do? I know everyone's got something inside them. It might be like, I just want to make coffee because I'm the best fucking coffee maker in the world.
Awesome.
I just want to drive F1 cars. Awesome. I just want to sit on the fucking beach. Awesome. I just want to do this or this. Everyone's got this lifestyle, this desire. And then what if people are really achievers and they want to go after it, they start to reverse engineer it. So they say, okay, in order to get this lifestyle, I must have a certain result in my life. Okay, so to have this lifestyle, I need to make $100,000 a year, $500,000 a year, or I need to have this sort of health, or I need a wife or a husband or whatever. They think, what's the result I need? What's the actual finished product, the result? And then they go, okay, here's the result I need. What do I do next? I've got to take action. Because everyone says, take action. Massive action. I even say it. Take massive fucking action. Take massive action. But most people don't look at the one pillar that comes before that.
And what's that?
Which is having the right philosophy that drives the action. So I was 21 years old and Reese gives me this CD. This makes me feel fucking old, bro, when I talk about this. He gave me a legit CD. I put it in my car and he had a funny voice, this guy, and he started saying things. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang around.
Jim Rohn?
Jim Rohn.
Yes, epic.
And this audio went for 57 minutes, and my drive to work every day was 56 minutes.
Wow.
I listened to this audio there and back every single day for about 4 or 5 months straight. And that is just, it started to reprogram my philosophy for life. Things like, don't wish it were easier. Wish you were better.
I've watched his YouTube videos, man. What a legend.
Godfather. I was like, wow, this is profound. Don't complain about my life. Don't wish, my life, I just wish it was easier. Wish that I was better. And I was like, wow. And I started to just think differently. So the question was, you're saying, how did I break free from that mold?
Yeah.
I started to realize the first thing was I had to get the fuck out of that environment. That's what made me realize I was happy then. I'm not happy now. How can I get back to doing what I was doing there, but do it better? I started hanging around different people, but then I started to change my philosophy. But I didn't know this until I was 21. I started listening to self-development. I was like, holy shit, this new perspective of life is huge. Somebody messaged me the other day. Not that I'm not a motivational speaker. Some people say. I think people just don't know. They're like, you're right. I'm like, whatever. I'm like, sure. But they're like, well, what's the difference between you and like motivational speakers is just so bad? There's some Karen in my inbox. And I say, well, the thing, like, I honestly believe motivational speakers are still absolutely fucking amazing, because what they do is they motivate you by changing your perspective of how you look at your life and your problems. You don't have to do much. You don't have to do much. You don't have to full breakthrough with people, or it's amazing if people want to get there, but to create massive results in your life, it could just come down to a teeny little perspective shift, down to little sort of things like 3 biggest things I learned in the beginning was you're the sum of the 5 people you surround yourself with. I'm like, wow, that makes so much sense. So you're telling me if I surround myself with 5 millionaires, I might become the 6th? This is crazy. It's like a life hack. Then it's don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. Different perspective. Wow, I'm not going to wish that my circumstances are easier anymore. I'm just going to wish that I'm a much better person to face them. And then the third one, was there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. A lot of people don't do the things they actually want to do in their life because like, but what if I fail? And what? You'll just have some extra data that you didn't have before.
Where'd you pick that up from? Because we were speaking before the podcast, and something I admire about you, and I think you do really well, is you just take action. You you run in events, like you. I've come to a couple of them, and every time I look at you, you're doing something. Like you're in Sunny Coast last night.
Sunny Coast last night. Got home at 2 a.m.
Yeah, Sydney a couple days before, Melbourne a couple days before.
Couple days. Gold Coast tomorrow, Sydney Saturday, and then a week later I have a 4-day advanced leadership program on an island.
Epic.
And a week later we're doing a 2023 launch off virtual event, which I haven't told anybody about that. I thought about that before I came here.
Epic.
So in action.
It's on.
Yeah.
So even that belief then, how did you pick that up? Where did you get those beliefs to help you follow through? Were you always like that even when you were younger, or what allows you, what's your secret sauce, or what's shifted in you to allow you to take action regardless of what could go wrong, the failure, whatever?
Yeah.
You take an action, man. I love that about you.
Yeah, like it's like a muscle. It was never always like that. But like the more I do it, the better you get, the more confident. So I'm just very confident now that when I take massive fucking action, shit's going to happen. I'm either going to get awesome results or I'm going to get awesome feedback.
Yeah.
Like this week's already been awesome feedback. It hasn't turned out how I wanted it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, this is cool. Let's do this next time. Not do that one.
Yeah.
But a lot of people wouldn't do what I'm doing this week. So like, But, like I used to do Muay Thai. I started Muay Thai when I was 15 or something like that.
Lived in Bali, how you would have done it there?
No, I did here in Australia.
No, in Aussie.
Yeah, but I had a fight in Thailand though.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that was loose.
That was loose.
Yeah, that was the story for another day. But I started doing Muay Thai, and I'm not sure if I had this before or if I developed it through this, but I've always just developed this and before I was enlightened, right? I would just get into fights all the fucking time. And my mentality was just like, you'll never beat me. Because if you beat me now, I'll fucking come back with bad, man. Like I will. I just will not be beaten. But I'm not competitive though. I think I'm just competitive with me. It's like I'm gonna get what I want, and I'm just gonna get what I want. I'm not here to compete with you or you or you. I'm here to compete with me yesterday.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure when I go to bed tonight, I did better than what I did yesterday.
That's awesome.
But I think through the years of boxing and stuff, where it's like, yeah, if I get fucked up in one round, and fun story. We were in Thailand on Yacht Week. We got absolutely destroyed. And there's an island in Thailand on PP Island where you can actually enter yourself into a boxing match.
Just casually.
Loose, bro. Yeah, like
no prep.
There's just a bunch of stupid Aussies and they're drunk as shit, bashing the fuck out of each other.
How good.
So I was completely blacked out one night, absolutely blacked out one night. And next minute I enter myself into the ring against the bar champion who weighed 115 kilos. I had no idea about it. Next minute we're in this fight and he fucked me up, broke my nose. First time I ever had my nose broken. And I remember actually leaving the ring, just going like, yeah, you may have won. The ref's like, we got to stop. I said, nah, give me one more round. I said, I'm going to fuck him up. The second round, he fucked me up again. So then I'm like, okay, this strategy's not working. Yeah. So I'm just going to change my strategy. I left, cleaned my nose up, and then and then everyone comes running into the bar. And they're like, Morgs, you're a fucking man. It was a Yacht Week, right? Everyone knew me because I was just a menace for the week.
Yeah.
And then and they're like, how'd you go? And I was like, no, I'm going to go glass the guy. I'm going to win. And I was just so drunk. And they're like, no, man. Like, we jumped in the ring. We beat the fuck out of him. Threw him out the bar. You're the champion. They give me a medal and another fucking bucket. I was like, yeah. But the thing was, I was just like, my mentality has just always been, it's not over until I win.
Okay.
Like, the only way we can actually fail at anything in our life is if we quit. Period. That's it. Like, there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. Like, we can keep going and going and going and going. And every single time it doesn't work, we've just got the option to either just go, oh, it didn't work, and make up a story about us. I'm not good, or blah, blah, blah. Or we go, okay, what could I do better next time? Because I've always just looked at it like this. It's like jumping into a boat, sailing from the Gold Coast to New Zealand, hitting all the waves. It's like failure, and it's the struggle, getting 2/3 of the way, and then going, it's too hard. I'm going to turn back. That's how I've always looked at it.
Yeah.
So like every single time I fail, I just genuinely have this belief inside of me. Every failure is one step closer to it actually working. Because like, let's say we start at 0. 0 is the furthest you'll ever be from actually accomplishing what you want over here at 1.
Yeah.
But if you take one bit of action and it didn't work, you're still one step closer to actually figuring it out. But a lot of people just get stuck. and for all sorts of reasons. That's why at my Dream Out Loud Method event, the last day was this huge process where people literally dissolve fear in front of their face, because fear doesn't exist if you live in the present. The definition of fear, although some people think false evidence appearing real, great perspective, it actually means anticipating pain in the future. So if we're living here and we're anticipating something in the future hurting us, we're living in the future. But if we live in the present, we're not anticipating. We're just being. So if you be confident, if you be certain, and you take courageous action, fear just dissolves every single time. So look, I don't know where it kind of come from. I guess maybe just a consistent bunch of things. But, I've always sort of been clear on the life I want to create and what I want to be. And I know what I want to be, and I know what I don't want to be. I looked at how my parents lived their life and my whole family lived their life. And it's just super average. And they settled just for what they got. They sat in the nail and they settled for that. I don't want that. I want to get to the finish line and look back. I want to meet the person. Here's what's going to happen. We're all going to die. And we're going to meet either the person who we could have been if we gave into all the fears, the doubts, and the jealousy, and the judgment of other people. If we gave into that, we can meet that person who we could have been. And when I meet that person, I want to be like, fuck yeah, I'm so proud I didn't do that shit. Or we'll get there and you'll meet the person who you could have become if you actually went all in. If you actually tapped into all your potential. I want to make sure when I get there, I meet the person I could have become if I didn't listen to all this shit, not the other way around.
What are some beliefs? I'd love to hear 3 on each side. What are 3 beliefs that used to hold you back and 3 beliefs that now serve you really well?
Ooh, the first one that used to hold me back was I'm too young. That was a big one. I'm too young. I'm not good enough. Yeah. There was definitely one, I'm not smart enough. It wasn't that strong though. The worthy one, look, like I've trained so many people around the world and even at my events now, the 2 most common beliefs that most people have is I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. It's just, people pick it up one way or another. I think it's so rare to find someone who doesn't have a sense of that. Yeah. But the biggest one was I'm too young, which is just dumb. I was aware of that when I was 23 living in Mexico and I was starting to self-sabotage my business. And I'm like, why? And I'm like, I'm too young for this success. It's like, what the fuck is that? What? It's just so dumb. Like the beliefs don't make sense logically. We're like, doesn't make sense, but it's unconsciously, But now a belief, 2 beliefs that really serve me well really right now is I'm unstoppable. Cool. I'm just absolutely fucking unstoppable.
Have you heard Kerwin say that? He's like, how are you? I'm unstoppable. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah. So I took that from him. It was funny. So when he came on my podcast, he's like, how are you, mate? I'm fucking unstoppable. He goes, I am unstoppable. Isn't that good? Now I've switched mine to I'm living the dream. It's more on brand with mine. People are like, how are you? I'm living the dream. How are you? That's good. I get shirts made up, living the dream.
That's good.
But yes, I'm unstoppable because it literally I write it down every morning still. Cool. So I write down 10 things I'm grateful for. I write down 2 goals and I write down just my 1 statement, affirmation, belief, whatever the fuck you want to call it, about myself. And it's just, I'm unstoppable. The second one is everything is figure outable.
That's a great belief. I like
that. I don't know where it came from. It's just a thing. I just genuinely think there is a way. Always. Someone said to me the other day, I had this idea for an app. I'm not going to share it because it's a pretty fucking sick app. May or may not dive into it. And I showed somebody and someone close to me in my mentorship group, and he goes, it's pretty much very similar to what someone else is doing, blah, 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 blah. I said, and then he started to go, this person's doing something similar. This person's doing something similar. So is this person. I said, well, guess what? There's always room for the best. Yeah. And everything's figure outable.
That's good.
There's always room for the best. I'm going to figure out a way to be fucking better than the rest of them. If I decide to go in there. I'm really good at making ideas. Like my brain's just driving down the road. Like coming here, I'm like, I'm going to do this event, virtual event, bang. I don't know how, where, what, I don't know what's going to be called. But I'm going to tell people about it, and I don't even know what I'm going to teach at it.
How do you help people? I know that's a big question, a general question, but how do you help people? So say someone's listening to this, they hit you up after this podcast, say, Morgan, I'm not living the dream. I'm not dreaming out loud. My life's shit. I'm a victim, but I want to work on it. How would you help them?
So there's a few things. Like my main way to help people right now is my 3-day event. It's like the Dream Out Loud method. Like I said to you before we started recording, it's like I used to do one-on-one coaching with people, and every single time with somebody on a one-on-one call, I just think, fuck, this conversation would have been so much more. This would have helped hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just don't, I want to help more people. So I'm like, what if I can condense a whole years of coaching into a 3-day event, into a weekend, help people literally quantum leap in a weekend. And that's kind of what it's about. But, the main thing is to really start creating a life by design, to create a life that you truly want, is a few things. The number one is you've got to develop a growth mindset, which I believe a lot of people have even a little bit. Like there's a scale, we'll call it 1 to 10.
Yeah.
And we get people actually, we score them on day one at the event, where we score growth mindset, fixed mindset, and they get super clear. Then on day 3, we score them all again, and everyone jumps multiple fucking leaps.
That's awesome.
They're like, that's just the sheer power of being in the right environment. Like, if the only thing they get is actually having a mindset where everything is figure outable, they'll fucking find a way every single time, But the main thing is people need to develop the mindset. They need to have a growth mindset. And people listening to this, they're probably like, oh, but I've already heard that so many times. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Do you do it? And does your bank account show it? That's the main thing. Like, we live in a society right now where there's a lot of gurus out there that just regurgitate information. They read a book, they do go a fucking NLP course, and they try to teach other people about all this shit that's actually going on in their fucking mind. Then they try to tell you why they're the master, and it's all a load of fucking shit. But they don't embody fucking anything. I know people that leave NLP 101 is cause and effect. Take fucking responsibility of your life. And I know people that go out there and they blame shit. Like, oh, this is like, mate, can you hear this shit come out of your mouth? Like, go and embody the stuff you talk about. Be like an actual living, breathing example. Somebody at my event last night, I said, why are you here? And she says, I want to learn from someone who's actually living the shit that they preach about.
That's
like,
cool.
Like, thank you. This is true. Like, I'll never share things that I don't actually fucking do in my life. Right? So how we help people is really helping them develop this mindset of just becoming unfuckwithable, right? Completely growth. The next thing is they've got to develop a vision. You see, the problem with men and women, will be politically correct, the problem with people is they don't have a vision. They stop dreaming. They go through their life, and at some age, someone tells them, stop dreaming now. So they develop this vision of their life, this dream, they stop it. And it's like if me and you, if I put you in a dark room and I say, hey, Lewis, run as fast as you can, you'll be like, fuck. You'll start 1 foot at a time. Really, really elegant, really just gently, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, well, what if I fucking run off a cliff or some shit? But if I give you a torch and you can see the next 50 meters in front of you, you'll probably run pretty fast.
Yeah.
It's like you can drive from one side of the country to the other side of the country in pitch black because you've got your headlights. I can see 200 meters in front of you.
Yeah.
But you can drive 150 kilometers an hour. No problem. But most people don't attack their life with speed because they don't know where they're going. They don't have a vision of their life. So we help people really create this powerful vision that's true to them. Tapping into their true north in life. So helping them really discover, because a lot of people ask, what is my purpose? Why am I here? What's my genius zone? We help them really discover their true north in life. Like, what is their epic talents? What are the things that truly excite them? The things that they knew when they were 5, 6, and 7 that have had the door put on them, and then they were taught to be somebody else. So we help them sort of peel back the layers of the onion and unpack who they were born to be.
That's cool.
And their authentic self, the one with no masks.
Yeah.
When we peel all this back and they get clear on their true north in life, and like, this is what I want to create, this is where I want to go, this is who I want to be, that's awesome. Because now we go, great, this is where the work starts now. So let's find your true north and then go through the 4 pillars.
If you were to dive into that for people that, for whatever reason, country, location, finances can't dive into that, if you could give them like a tool or a question or something for them to get clear on them so they can start to see that path, so they can listen to this podcast and take action straight away, what's a tip or a tool or a strategy that they could do right now to move the needle and start to move forward in life?
Yeah, what's moving forward to a life that's more fulfilling and inspiring for them?
Yeah.
I'd do 2 things. The first thing I'd actually do is just super simple. I'd get 2 lists. One thing, I'd write all the things I love doing on one list and all the things I hate doing on the other list. Cool. Start doing more of the things you love and start doing less of the things you don't love.
Sounds so simple, but fucking people don't do it.
You'd be so shocked how many people actually do all the, so many things they hate doing. Like, I hate all this. And why are you doing it? Don't know. And if they really unpack it, they would realize that they've become a slave to the freaking society. They've become a slave to the system.
Yeah.
And they stop thinking. They stop thinking. Like people sell their souls for a freaking paycheck or whatever, right? And it's just what happens. They stop freaking thinking. But if they did that super simple, they can actually just get really clear on what lights them up and what doesn't. But the next thing is they've got to get clear on a vision for their life. So super easy. What do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to create? Where are you going? What's the next 5 years look like for you? What's it feel like? What's it sound like? Create that, because when we know exactly where it is we're going, we find it a lot easier to say yes and say no to things. A lot of people struggle to say no to things these days because they don't know why. They don't know what they need to say yes or no to.
There's no decision-making framework. They're like, do you want this? Well, is it going to help me go this way? Yes or no? But if they don't know where they're going, they can't do that.
You know, one of my friends, Joel Brown, he said to me when I was starting my podcast, we're having a conversation. I said, how do you know, because you start getting all these, like, people offer you this and this and this. I'm sure you do too. And I go, well, how do I know which one I should say yes to? And he goes, if it's in your vision, say yes. If it's not, say no. I'm like, so true.
It's simple.
It's so fucking true. Like that's what helps me. And I've had other opportunities come along, like, oh, Morgs, help me build out this cryptocurrency company. Well, it's not really part of my 10-year vision and my plan. Yeah, I can make a lot of money if I do it, but I just don't really give a fuck.
Yeah.
It's not in my vision. So it's an easy no. And even if it goes really well and really successful, I don't lose sleep over it in a year because I'm like, well, it just wasn't for me. Yeah. Right? So if they get really clear on actually where they're going, they got to be able to make better decisions in their life. And then the next thing I'll give them is so freaking simple, because like at our event, we've got a whole extensive sort of process where they go through. I can't even remember all the questions. It's in the book. But if they just get clear on, you'll often find your genius zone in the layover of the things that you love doing, the things that excite you, okay, the things you love doing, the things that really excite you, right, things that you're really curious about, and then what the world actually needs. Yeah. The combination, the layer of those three things, you'll actually find that. Because if people ask the question, what is my purpose? It's quite easy. Figure out the things that you really love, things that you're really curious about, things that you're really good at. Find those things, and then find a way to serve other people in the world and create an impact, and it will lead you to your purpose. Every successful person I know and I've interviewed that says, I'm living on purpose, I'm living a really great life, it's because what they do has an impact in someone's life. The only other people I've met who've got really, really rich and they go, I've got all this money, but I'm not fulfilled. It's because they just built a business for building a business. Yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day, and he's got like one of the biggest like pharmaceutical or something companies in Australia, and we're having a chat, and he's sort of at the point now, he's like, I don't know what the fuck to do now, because he made a lot of money, not really impacting people. It's kind of the opposite. Yeah. Right. But I think at every point, if we start to really, like, I've always heard those stories of, I've got all this money and now I'm unfulfilled. Yeah. So I've sort of wanted to prevent it versus get there myself. So I've always just focused on those things. The things I absolutely love, the things I'm really good at, and the things I'm really curious about getting better at. And then find a way to get all those things and add value to other people. And it's going to lead you to a really purposeful life.
What's your vision? You mentioned it a couple of times, but I'd like to hear a little bit more about it.
Number one personal development company in Australia, bitches. Yeah. No. That's what we want to do. I really want to create something absolutely extraordinary here. Revolutionize the education system. I want a place where I always just think, last time we had a 13-year-old in the room.
That's cool.
And I'm like, you broke the record. Because the youngest before that was 16. He's actually in one of my programs right now. He's 16-year-old building his own business. He's making like 3 or 4K a month.
That's really
while at school. I'm like, bro, you should start having a chat with your teachers, see if you can take one day off a week and start building your business more, because you're nearly making more than them. Yeah. All right. Like, but I always just think, I'm like, if I learned this stuff back in school, how much different my life would be.
So true.
And I've thought about it, and I'm sure like you have, I'm sure nearly anyone in this space has, getting into the education system. Yeah. The thing is, it's set up like that for a reason. It's a system. It's controlled by people.
It's government.
It's so much higher than, if we were to talk about who it's really controlled about, people would be like, oh yeah, okay, conspiracy theories. Right. But it's just so I wouldn't waste energy on trying to do something. But what I can do is, like, what if we could really create a space where we literally impact the lives of people in their 20s right now, 30s, and make them better people, so when they raise their kids, this is how we're going to create a generational just change, which is happening, because now personal development, consciousness, all this shit is now trending.
That's cool.
Really cool. People are now like, yeah, I'm reading a personal development book. Yeah. And we're like, yeah, you ghost your stuff. 10 fucking years ago, like when I started network marketing, I'm reading a personal... You're reading a book?
How's your
Nerd.
fucking goals going?
Yeah, goals. And it's like, bro, but now everyone's like, yeah, what are your goals? Yeah, like, what do you love? What are you proud of? What do you go for? And it's really cool to see the world starting to shift.
It is.
So I'm excited to sort of see where it's going to be in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. It's going to be massive. But the biggest thing I really want to create is we want to impact 1 million people for our events in the next 5 years globally. And we're 1 year in now. We're absolutely nowhere fucking near it, that's what it excites me.
That's the fun part, right?
It excites me a lot. When I first wrote it, I'm like, I want to impact 10,000.
Yeah.
And I go, 10,000? Well, that's so shit. Out of 0. I was like, and I wrote 100,000. I'm like, come on, you could probably do that. And I'm like, yeah, I could. That'd be big though. So then writes like you can't do. Like, let's do 1 million. And then when I wrote it, I'm like, how would we do 1 million?
Good question.
So when it was 100,000, I was like, write something you can't do. I was like, we'll write 1 million. And then when I hit 1 million, I'm like, how can we do it?
Yeah.
Now the gears are moving. I'm like, it's very doable.
Yeah.
Very doable. And it'll happen in the next 5 years.
Fuck
and
yeah, man.
also, I kind of hope it doesn't. Because I like to set goals so big that I don't want to hit. Because if I hit the goals I actually set, they were too small.
Yeah.
I would rather hit...
Listen to that, by the way.
Yeah.
Rewind that and listen to that again.
Like, I very rarely... I do hit goals often, but I very rarely hit the big ones.
Top 3 pieces of advice for young Morgan.
Stop giving a fuck what other people think of you a lot sooner. 3 pieces of advice. Start an investment portfolio a lot sooner.
Cool.
One thing I delayed doing that for quite a while because I was like, man, my plan A is so good. I don't need a plan B. Yeah. Correct. Then that served me for so long. But when it comes to investing, diversify investments. I'm like, keep hustling on the plan A, but investment portfolio is not a plan B, and an investment portfolio assists the plan A.
Yeah.
And I've already thought, I'm like, it's gonna be so good to sit back when I've got millions a year coming in passively, where if I want to take a year off completely, I can, or whatever, or it's just, So I would start doing that a lot earlier. Next one. Bit of advice is ready, fire, aim.
Have you read that? I've got that book on the shelf. I haven't read it yet.
I haven't read it. I've never read it. I just I heard someone say it one time, and I'm like, that's kind of how I live my life.
Yeah, I see that in you a lot.
Yeah,
that's take it and you figure it out.
Back to the action thing. It's 100% ready, fire, aim. I jump out of the plane and then I work out how to build a parachute. Like legit, it's the only way you get. It's the only way you get things done. Like people just wait and they wait and they wait and they wait and they procrastinate. They get ready to get ready. This tour we're doing right now, I told everybody last night in Sunny Coast, I had to change the venue a week before.
Yeah.
And I told them all, I'm like, do you know why I had to change the venue? Because I launched this whole fucking campaign. We ran ads. We started selling tickets and everything before I even told my team. So we didn't have a venue booked. But I started selling tickets. Then we booked the venue and they couldn't get us in that date. I was like, oh shit. So let's find somewhere that we can. Right? It wasn't like because if I was to wait for my team to find the fucking venue, we waited 3 fucking weeks. Yeah. Like, no, launch the campaign, sell tickets, sell events. I'm going to find shit. I've got weeks to find it. You just get people registered and get people somewhere, and I'm going to get them somewhere. Yeah. And we made it happen. Ready, fire, aim. I get ready, I shoot. And then I'm like, okay, where did it go?
Then
okay, it went over there. Okay, cool. Adjust it a little bit. Bang. Next thing, just continually changing the strategy. But every 90 days-ish, I'll sit back and reevaluate the last 90 days. Yeah. What worked, what didn't work, what went well, what went bad. And then we readjust. That's it. Like, if you think about this, a plane takes off from Brisbane Airport, flying to LAX. What are the chances of that plane on the runway taking off in the exact direction it's going to land?
To land perfectly.
It's going to be near impossible.
Yeah.
But let's even say it does. Okay? But most of the time it takes off in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
It just fucking gets in the air. The plane just goes, LA's that way somewhere. Well, let's just get in the fucking air and then see what happens up there. And then we'll start changing. We can always change. We can always pivot. But a plane is off track about 99% of its whole journey. Because all it knows is 2 things. It knows where it's going. It knows why it's going. And then it just knows what it's getting the whole time. So continue looks at the GPS. Okay, we're off track. Okay, pivot. Off track again. Okay, pivot. Oh, we're off track again. If you ever watch the little green fucking line, it's like the whole freaking time. And then a few circles if you fly on Jetstar to Bali. And then wait in the air for 5 hours until they're allowed to land because they're like the bitch airline.
Yeah.
You know, but I always just think about that. I think about, you know, really creating change, really creating results in your life. You've got to be a plane taken off the ground. A plane does not get off the ground with 80% throttle, 90% throttle, 99% throttle. It doesn't. It gets off with 100% throttle every single time. A lot of the time, it even goes against the wind. It goes against adversity.
Yeah.
Weird, right? It helps it get off. It helps strengthen it.
Yeah.
And then once it goes off, the only thing it cares about is where it's going and taking massive fucking action.
Yeah.
Gets off. Once it's in the air, course correct. What does it do? It chills back a bit. It chills. It cruises. But if it wants to go to a new altitude, full throttle again, and then chills again. It's exactly what it's like. We'll never... And another metaphor is, for women listening to this, if you've got a man, imagine if your man comes home. Like, you guys aren't engaged, are you? No. So let's say, for example, you come home and you say to Georgia, baby, I decided today, 99% sure you're the woman of my dreams. Let's get married. What do you think she'll say?
Absolutely not.
She's like, absolutely not. But then you're a man and you're like,
But
99%.
pretty close.
Fucking hell, how much more do you want, woman? She's like, I want the 1%. And so do our dreams. A lot of people just 99% in. They like the idea of that. They see social media, they see the Bugattis, they see the Rolex, they see all the shit that people have. And I want that, I like it. But they're interested, they're not committed. And that's one thing they need to ask yourself. Are you interested in creating a dream life, or are you committed? There's a big difference in what you'll do next.
What are some daily things or weekly, monthly things? Like you just mentioned, like gratitude in the morning, 10 things you're grateful for, an affirmation. You mentioned every 90 days or roughly 90 days, you'll review and plan the next 90.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things you do daily that people can do right now or start to implement or consider implementing into their life?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit of what I want to do, and then I'll share my belief on it now. But every day, it's the minimum is just 10 things I'm grateful for. I'll write down 2 goals and 1 statement about myself.
Cool.
Most of the time, it's I'm unstoppable.
Beautiful.
Then I've written out my vision in present tense.
Yeah.
I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm making $1 million per month. I bought my dream home in Mexico. We've got Airbnbs around the world. We're doing this and this and this and this and this and this and this. We're now getting 1,000 people at our events with this. And I read it out in present tense, and I relive my vision every single day. But that takes all of 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I would like to say I meditate every day. I don't. I would like to say I have a cold shower every day. I don't. I'd like to say I work out every day. I don't. You know, but the main thing I really just try and do is the first 10 minutes of my day is put something good into my mind. Yeah. And apart from that, I'm just fucking working, man. Like, I do 2 things. I'm either enjoying the shit out of my life and having a lot of fun, or I'm working. Like, before I came here, it's a beautiful day. I was out in the sun at the pool, the rooftop. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've created a life myself where I just flow. And like, I pushed back my meetings today for 2 hours because I just wasn't ready to start my day yet. Yeah. That's the life I've created. And I just thought, I was like, oh, I'll go meet with my team. Well, you know, I'm the fucking boss. I don't want to meet at 10. I'm going to meet at 12. Yeah. We pushed it back because that's it. But, you know, my belief on this is, and I did a podcast actually about this week on why your morning routine sucks. Because back in the day, I even wrote a book I never published. I've actually got it written somewhere on a morning routine. Because when I started doing it, it changed my fucking life. It really did. So I still do stand to this point. And it's kind of like a do what I say, not as I do at the minute. It's really interesting. And I'll openly say that. But because it changed my life so much putting a morning routine in. So I think if people are kind of off track in their life, bringing that in will change drastic results in their life instantly. For me, what I noticed was I went so hard down the path of high performance. Yeah. You got to get up at 5 o'clock. You got to do a cold shower. You got to work out. You got to have this. And then what I noticed was my fucking first 2 hours of my day was a to-do list. Yeah. And what I really want to do, like how my body is designed, I love to move slow in the morning. Yeah. I'll work to midnight, but I like to move slow in the morning. My mate Reese, for example, other way around. Yeah. He'll wake up 5 o'clock, 5:01. He's on his emails doing stuff. He loves it. He's in it. Bang, 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 bang. And even though how many times I've said to him, bro, it's not good. You know, turn your phone off. No, he's just into it. But 8 o'clock at night, 8:30, don't talk to him about business. Don't talk to him about, you know what I mean? He's just chilling, ready for the day done. But I could just keep going and going and going and going and going. So like I had to get really clear on how do I really optimally perform. And it's not that. So the to-do list in the morning, I hated. And here's what I noticed was for so long, I went so far this way. Like, yeah. And then I started missing a few days. And I started just being like, you know, I'm just going to wake up. I'm not going to have any expectations on my plate. And I started to just feel into it and actually just be like, what do I want to do? And I started to literally do a lot less. I started to take days off. I now have I now have 1 day off.
Yeah.
I try to do 2. I just can't. I like 1 full day off a week and 2 half days.
Yeah.
That's how I like it. But I started doing it guilt free.
Yeah.
And what I learned was the less I do, the more I make.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow. So my morning routine is really some days I do it and some days I don't. Now, I don't know if that's the right or wrong thing, but I think you've got to use your own self-awareness to know what you need right now.
Yeah.
So some days I wake up and I'm like, Morgan, get your book. I'm like, okay. And when I do, I'm like, oh, I felt so good. And then other days I'm like, no, just hit the beach, go for a beach walk first thing. And then I do that and I feel really freaking good. But I guess it's just ingrained so much as a muscle right now. But it's funny because I used to bang about this all the time, but now I'm like gone so far the opposite direction where I'm like, I just chill. And I honestly find that you got to find what really works for you. But some sort of routine in the morning is going to be good. But I heard Alex Hormozy say this week, he's like, my morning routine is I wake up, get a cup of coffee, and go to fucking work. But then I disagree. I'm like, fuck that, bro. My brain don't work for the first 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't want it to work.
Yeah.
I want to wake up, start my day, roll, but I'll work to midnight.
Yeah.
So if we only listen to one person saying something,
yeah,
and we try to force it onto us, we're living someone else's values.
Yeah.
We're living someone else's standard of living. Even what I'm doing right now. That's why I just want to give information.
Yeah.
Make your brain move a bit differently. Make your own decision of what. But people need to have enough awareness around themselves to know if they're being a lazy piece of shit or if this is actually right for them right now.
That's powerful. Man, we could chat for hours, but I know you've got appointments and that, as do I. Man, where can people find you, hit you up, connect with you, your services, your events, your podcast? You're fucking everywhere. So where can people find you? Where's the best place?
2 best places is my podcast is called Dream Out Loud. Dream Out Loud. You'll find me there. And Instagram at Morgan T. Nelson. They're the 2 most places. We're trying to crank TikTok. Nothing like yours yet.
Yeah.
We're trying to crank it. I wouldn't. Yeah, you can find me on TikTok if you want. But Instagram's the main spot. I reply to all my DMs. All our events and stuff will always be in my link tree. Cool. In the link. I think my team are even getting a website together for me now. morgantnelson.com.
Coming official, baby.
I don't know what's on there.
Hopefully it's good stuff.
Mainly Instagram, podcast. Hit us there. There's heaps of value.
Man, it's been a pleasure. Round 2 in the books. I'm sure there'll be a round 3 in the future. It's
Absolutely.
been just, man, from me to you, it's been a pleasure watching and being alongside your journey for the last, I think it's about 3 or 4 years. It's back when I was doing Herbalife, you were in Isogenics. So yeah, to see you transition, me transition, it's fucking awesome, man. So it's been a pleasure. Guys, thank you for watching. Share this with a friend. Subscribe. Hit up Morgan shit. And stay fucking awesome.